Yo guys, what's good my people? Hope you guys are all doing good. Now today, I'm gonna be talking to you guys about the harsh realities of becoming a professional football player. Now when I say this, what I'm gonna be talking about is the stuff that we don't really see on the television, the stuff that we don't really see on social media. A lot of the time, we see the positives. For example, we see the flashy cars that these players are driving. We see the money that they're making. We see the fan base that these players have. We don't really see what is behind the scenes or how they really got there. So me, I know when I was younger, I used to play a lot of football with my friends. We would go to the park, we would play football for hours upon hours. There'll be times when I would even play for so long, I would go back in to get some water, and my mum would tell me I couldn't go back out again because I'd been out for too long. Yeah, I know some people that when I used to play football with them, they used to have an aspiration to be professional football players. I feel like when you're that young, you don't really think about what does it really take to become a pro. You just kind of say to yourself, I want to be a pro because I see Messi, Ronaldo, all these top players up on television. I want to be like them one day. We don't really think what are the steps or what does it really take for me to be a professional player. And I feel like this is kind of where it kind of separates the amateurs from the professional when it comes to football. So first of all, one big thing that separates the amateurs and the professionals is the speed of play. When I talk about speed of play is a lot of the time you see professional players, they play at a very fast speed. They play at a very fast pace. Now, on television, you might not see this. It might not look like it's very fast, but they are just zipping the ball left, right, center. Compared to an amateur player who, in an amateur team, you see and tend to see that players aren't really playing at a very fast pace. They're playing at their own pace, the pace that they enjoy, and it's not very intense. The reason for this is because as a professional football player, you are 3-4 steps ahead of these amateur players. As an amateur player, when you're playing and you're getting ready to receive the ball, for example, as you're receiving the ball, you're not really thinking about what you're going to do with the ball until you receive that ball. You only think about it once you've received the ball. But as a professional, you know where you're going to pass the ball before you even receive the ball. You know the space is going to be here, the space is going to be here. I'm going to play to this player, I'm going to play to that player. You are 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of all these other amateurs. And that allows you to be able to play at that speed. That allows you to be able to play at that intensity, which is what these amateur players don't have. Another big thing that separates professionals and amateur players is the simplicity of how professionals play. Now, we probably think that all these professionals out there, they can do a bunch of skills, they can drill past loads of players, but yeah, they can. But to remember, everyone there is professional. So it's a thing of like, they can't just dribble past everyone because they know they're going to lose the ball at some point. You can tend to see a lot of amateur players, they will just go and dribble past 3, 4, 5, 6 players. But as a pro, you can't do that, unfortunately. So they know that they need to play simple. And this kind of links in with the speed of play. If you can play simple, you can play at a high speed of play. The reason is because playing simple, you just take 1, 2, 3 touches max when receiving the ball. 1 to control, 1 to pass it. And because it's so quick, you understand the fact that the ball is faster than the man. Therefore, you can't really just want to dribble past everyone because you know that you have to carry that ball when you're dribbling past. But if I want to get the ball from A to Z, it's quicker than me to pass it than it is for me to just go and dribble from A to Z. Because I know that at the end of the day, I have to get past all these other players when the ball, if I play it in the air, for example, it can ping it over the top. And it's gone past all these other players that I would have had problems with if I just dribbled the ball. Now, the big thing that separates professionals and amateurs is the decision making. Their decision making is very different. As a professional, you know what the right decisions to make are and the wrong decisions to make are as well. And as a professional, you know when to make a certain decision at the right time. Whereas as an amateur, you tend to see a lot of people, they will just shoot when they want to shoot. They will just pass the ball when they want to pass. They will just dribble. And you can tend to see that they make the wrong decisions. They will shoot and the ball goes flying over the bar. Whereas a professional knows this is not the time for me to shoot. This is the time for me to keep possession of the ball and pass to my teammates. This is the time for me to dribble. So they go ahead and they dribble. They know when in the match the correct time to do certain things are. That's what separates the decision making of an amateur player and the decision making of a professional player, which is something that's really important. There's a difference between making a professional player and staying a professional player. Now, the reason why I say this is because I believe that making it pro, that's doable. But to stay pro, it all comes down to your ability to handle pressures and your ability to be able to stay consistent. If you cannot handle pressures and the change of environment, if you cannot handle the fact that you need to be consistent, very consistent, you're going to struggle to stay a professional. We're going to struggle to stay a professional at the level that you are. The reason why I say this is because in football, the environment is constantly changing. From injuries to new players entering the team, from the fact that your team is fluctuating up and down the table, there's always a different circumstance that you're going to need to adapt to. And if you're not able to adapt to that, you're going to struggle as a player to be able to stay professional. Which is why I say it comes down to really the ability to handle those pressures, the ability to stay consistent, because that's what teams are looking for. Teams are looking for players who can really stay consistent, and the consistency is what keeps the team at the level that they want to be at. The consistency is what really keeps the team to be able to make sure they have the highest chance of winning the league, winning their matches. So, for example, if you were to get injured, for example, your injury can take you out for the whole season. Now, the season has gone past, another player behind you has gone and now replaced you. When you've recovered from that injury, it's going to be very hard for you to get back into that squad. Now, the reason I say this is because when you're injured, you're out. But the team needs someone, regardless of whether you're injured or not. The team needs someone who can do the job that the team needs to be able to play at the level that the coach needs them to play at. And now you're injured, you have to kind of prove to the coach that, okay, I can still play at that level. Yeah, the injury might not have been your fault, but at the end of the day, football is a business. So if they need to play at a certain level, win certain competitions, but to make a certain amount of money, these managers will make sure that that gets done at the end of the day. Another big one is the difference in terms of the schedule and the diet of these players. Professional players' schedules and diet are both very strict compared to an amateur player's schedule and diet. An amateur player can kind of eat whatever they want to play, whatever they want to eat. They can sleep whenever they want to sleep, but a professional player can't really do that. The reason is because all a professional player does in their day-to-day life has an effect on their performance on that match day. So if a professional player goes to bed late, they're not going to have enough energy for training the next day. If a professional player eats the wrong food, they're not going to have enough nutrients in their body to be able to perform at the level that they need to perform to be able to impress the coach and give the coach enough reason for them to play on Sunday or to play on match day. So everything comes down to the little things that they do: the diet, the sleep, the schedule. What are they doing with their day-to-day lives? They need to have a good amount of energy in the system to be able to train, because the professional training is very intense. And if you're going to be sleeping late, having a poor diet, you're going to feel sluggish, you're going to feel tired. You won't be able to train at the level that you need to be able to train to keep up with your team, to keep up with the rest of your teammates. And it's going to show. It's going to show when you're playing. It's going to show. Understanding that being good enough is not enough. You're probably wondering why I say this. Why I'm saying this is because if you're just good enough, it doesn't mean that a team will select you. Being just good enough is only the first step. Why I say this, because there's a lot of other factors that get taken into consideration when a team is choosing a player to play for them. For example, one of the factors might be, do you match that team's style of play? Are you a fast player who just relies on the speed and is not very physical, does not like to get into many challenges? That team is looking for a strong player who can hold up the ball and allow their teammates to get up the pitch. Even though you might be good enough for that team, you're not what the team is looking for. Another factor could be, are you playing in the position that the team wants? You might be a goalkeeper, or you might be a defender. Now, you might be a goalkeeper and defender that can play for that team. You might be better than the goalkeeper and defender in that team already, but that team might be looking for a central midfielder. Unfortunately, you don't know what that team is looking for. Another big factor is, does that team have space for you? If the team has not got space for you, they will not put you in the team, because they can't. There's no space, and they don't know if when you come in, are you going to be worth removing another player from the squad to replace with you? Or will that just be a mistake? That's a gamble that the manager has to make, the club have to make, and they have to think to themselves, is that the right decision to make? Are you compatible with that team? This is why I say being good enough necessarily isn't good enough. Are you a cocky player? Are you very cocky, where you're very big-headed and you're not humble and willing to learn? If that's you, you may clash with some of the other players. Are you going to really clash with them, or are you going to gel and complement the other players well? If you're going to complement them well, that's a good reason for why the club may choose to sign you. But if you're going to clash and you're going to cause friction, it's going to cause a domino effect. You clash, you cause friction, it's going to affect the team's morale, it's going to affect the team's mood, it's therefore going to affect the team performance, and it's going to affect the whole business of the club as a whole. And that is not what the manager wants to do, that's not what the board wants to do. The next topic I'm going to be talking to you about is in terms of money. Now, of course, when I was younger, and a lot of people I know as well, when you see professional players, you look at them and say they make a lot of money. They make a lot of money. But you need to understand that not every single professional player makes that much money. Not every single professional player makes racks upon racks. Those are usually tend to be the top players in the top European leagues. So just because you play football doesn't mean that you make a lot of money, even if you play it professionally. For example, there was a study in the US where I believe it was last year, I think the average salary in the US was around $74,000 per year. Or it was the median salary in the US. Now, there was players in the MLS that year who were making around $67,000 per year. Think about that. Players who are playing professional football at the top level in America, the MLS is the top division, were actually making $67,000 per year. There are players who are marking Messi, one of the greatest players of all time, who are making $67,000 per year. It really puts it into perspective of the fact that, yeah, not all these professionals are making a lot of money. Another big thing that I'm going to talk about is understanding that in football it's dog eat dog. It's every man for themselves. The reason why I say this is because when you're playing football, it's on a professional level. You have to keep that performance at that level, or there will be someone behind you in the queue to replace you. The club is always looking for your replacement, because they know there is a chance that you might mess up, or you might not perform at the level that they want you to perform at, or you might not be able to get to the level which they need you to get to. For example, then they'll get someone in, that person will replace you, and you'll be out. Understanding that every man for themselves. So if you want to be able to stay in a team, which links to the one I say, staying a professional and becoming a professional. If you want to be able to stay as a pro or stay as a player, you have to be able to stay at that level and to be able to compete with all these other players around you and prove to the coaches why you should be there and why the other players should not be there. there is not really any sympathy there, because at the end of the day, as I keep saying, football's a business. They need to make their money. Those people at the top need to make their money at the end of the day. The last thing I want to talk about is, of course, I'm not a professional player myself, but I would like to believe that when you do make it as a pro, it's very surreal. It's a very amazing moment, and you start to realize how much your hard work has paid off. You worked your whole life for this, you worked very hard for this, and you start to realize about how, yeah, it was actually worth doing. It was actually worth fighting for this dream. Which is why I tell everyone that if you have a dream, if you have an ambition, you want to do something in your life, whether it's football, whether it's not football, I don't care what it is, just follow that dream. If that's your dream, because you live one life, don't waste your life doing something you don't want to do. If you have a dream, if you have something you want to do, go and chase that dream. Go and get that, because the more you chase it, there's a higher chance you're gonna get that. There's a higher chance you're gonna get that. And don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Just chase that dream and do what you want to do with your life, regardless of whatever it is. Whatever people say, don't listen to them. It doesn't matter. Just go and chase that dream. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys kind of learned something as well. And if you did like the video, I would appreciate if you put a like on the video, you subscribe to the channel, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.